Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have with us Ali Saddal. Came to Canada in 2009. After that, pursued his education, and then completing his education, he moved into the professional space. So rather than me introducing any further, I would rather ask you, Ali, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Yeah, I'm a computer science graduate. I did my undergrad from Lahore, Pakistan, from Punjab University. Yeah, I actually studied throughout my life from in government school, so I haven't been to any private institutes or whatsoever. Came here to do masters in a very small university here, and then I started working as a software engineer. And I have been privileged enough, or probably lucky enough, however you want to call it, to work into some of the big tech companies in Canada.
Nice. So, and you graduated from which school?
So I graduated from a small university in Oshawa called Ontario Tech University.
That's not small. It's
Well,
pretty.
now it's known, right? But when I
Yeah.
came, it was like totally. It was like it became a university like 6 or 7 years before I came in.
Interesting, interesting. So right now you're pursuing in the space of application. You're a full stack developer, right?
No,
Okay.
so in my field, there's a specific type of developers which are called generalist. So I am one of those generalist developer. I'm a senior engineer. You cannot label me that I have expertise on this language or that language, but you can label me on that any technology that you throw at me, I'll be able to use that technology to solve your problem. Right.
Interesting,
And
interesting,
that's one of the reason I have been able to navigate my career into like big technology, big tech companies.
interesting. So in terms of your day to day, what is one day in the life of Ali? Like how does things progress in your job?
Yeah, so nowadays I'm working at a fintech corporation, and I just started that job. So the first 3 months are a lot of onboarding, a lot of documentation reading, a lot of training, a lot of certification that you have to do, which are like compliance certificates within the company. But if you're talking about what's the job of a senior engineer on these kind of companies, um, then you check your mail, you check your messages, and then you look at what project you're doing and how you have to get yourself unblocked, right? Because as a generalist, the companies that you work in, you don't have a product manager, you don't have a Scrum Master, you don't have a DevOps person, you don't have a deployment person, you don't have a tester. All these five things are basically you, right? So when a project is assigned to you, you have to figure out what hat you're wearing and how to get this project to completion. So day to day, I'm juggling with those stories as in those tickets, those tasks, and getting my project to completion. And one thing that comes on top of it is your on-call support. So we are normally a fourth line support people. So anything that's broken in prod, you have to solve the problem, and it's a rotation. Unlike,
So, mhm.
fortunately or unfortunately, let me wrap this up. So fortunately, unfortunately, um, the companies that these companies that fintech, like they have millions or billions of consumers across the globe, right? So there's always something broken.
For sure.
So yeah.
So you talked about earlier that, if I understood correctly, that you are language agnostic and it does not matter. So you're working purely as a tech developer, I would say. So in light of how things are developing and we see all of this AI, how it's evolving, and we have these AI agents now who are actually doing the full coding for you. In light of all of these developments, how do you see the profession being impacted?
So profession has already been impacted in a sense that now I have a very good junior developer in my laptop, like at my computer, like a very obedient junior developer, I would say. And I tell it what to do, and it does it. But the problem is, it will do exactly what I tell it to. So if I'm not giving it the context, if I have forgot to give the context, if I haven't read the thing, what it has done, proofread it, proof approve it, it's gonna mess it up. Because no matter how advanced things may seem out of the for the people who are out of the tech space, contextual understanding is still something which these agents are unable to do,
Mm.
right? And there's a long way to go. It's not that they're almost there. There's a long way to go. There are lots of improved models there, but still they're studying a lot. Even if these things are taken care, as I mentioned, that we are like a fourth line support people. There's so far we haven't AI things in place which can handle those on-call questions and on-call things. And I'm talking about, so I'm working in a company which are actually first in the AI space. Like we are not the companies, I don't work for the companies who are actually using external models. Like we are one of those companies who actually build their models, which actually expose to public, right? So we are actually step ahead of these things. And knowing that, I'm telling this, that there's still a long way to go, but it has definitely improved our life a lot.
For sure. Good. Makes sense. Ali, one last question for you, and that is making a segue from our previous question. For those who are planning to move into this space or who are moving into Canada and have been developers in the past and transitioning over here, what would be your advice to them? Uh, how should they go about?
So these are two different questions, a very loaded one. So one is people who want to move into Canada, and one is people who want to be successful in this space. So I don't consider myself successful, but for the sake of argument, let's say that. So if you're picking up a niche, and in Pakistan, it is happening that there is a very common thing that everyone is trying to be a full stack developer, and everyone is trying to build the web apps. So borrowing from our previous discussion, how the AI is impacting, AI is going to impact every single thing which has a pattern, every single thing which has a pattern. And web development, AI, APIs development, and all those things, these are one of those things which have a pattern, right?
Mhm.
So if you're being one of those developers who are doing a full stack, who went to the boot camp, or who are just did a YouTube channels and learn from them, you'll be just one of those developers who will get impacted by these AIs, right? So don't one of those people. I actually read one of the paper by a Google recruiter that what's the properties of a good developer? And the top answer was someone who's curious, right? And someone who's not afraid of asking questions.
Mhm.
Learning a technology is not a problem. There are lots of resources here. Like even 10 years ago, there are lots of resources. What's the question is asking the right question at the right time, that why we are doing this thing this way and not the other way, right? So this is for the people who are in this space and who want to excel in this career. For coming to Canada, I still say coming as a student is the best as the easiest way, even though all the policies and everything is changing, right? I am one of those people who kind of oppose the idea that when people on 35 or 40 plus, they should migrate because it comes with a lots of social strings. So as a student, do your undergrad in Pakistan, get some experience, make sure your name gets on some of the research papers, and apply for masters, come here and make sure if your aim is to come outside of Pakistan, then don't aim for big University of Toronto, or those kind of things. Get a university which will give you admission, come here, get your degree, and then get into the field. That's the easiest way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ali, for your time today. And I think, as you said earlier in our conversation, each of the things that we touched upon, for example, just the fact on how AI will likely impact is a whole discussion in itself. And we need a broader and deeper dive. But let's do that in a later session. But for today, thank you so much for your time today.